The evolution of Kerala since the first communist government in 57-59 has been broadly in the path laid out by that government, you see, which can be summed up as a development process, development strategy which focuses upon redistribution.
Yes.
Redistribution through strengthening collective bargaining and resulting in higher wages. CAA had orchestrated a mass hysteria. They used very effectively radios and media and different kind of rumors and so on, and street violence, the frenzy and mobilization, which resulted in toppling of the government.
Hello and welcome to Left Lens. Today we have Dr. T.M. Thomas Isaac with us. He's a noted economist and a prolific author. 4 terms he has served as a member of the Kerala Legislative Assembly. Twice he was a finance minister of Kerala. Now he's a central committee member of the CPIM. Comrade Isaac, good to have you with us. Welcome to Left Lens.
Good afternoon.
You're an author par excellence. I think among the communists in Kerala, you've probably authored the most number of books by now.
Currently, we have veterans like Comrade EMS and so on, whose collected volumes run into more than 100 volumes.
Of all the topics that you've discussed, you've done people's planning, decentralization, economics, your core subject, fiscal federalism, cooperatives. But apart from all this, one book clearly stands out, which is Vimojana Samarathinte Kaanapurangal. For those of our viewers from outside Kerala, that book deals with how a struggle was organized or orchestrated in Kerala to topple the first EMS ministry, which is the first communist ministry to come to power through the ballot. Now, just 2 months back, July, if I'm not mistaken, the English, not necessarily a translation, but a new book has come out. As we know, Vimojana Samaram translates into liberation struggle, a misnomer. There was no liberation that was ever achieved from any oppression during that struggle. But in your English book, you've added an addition to the title, social justice.
Okay. Yeah.
Why so?
Yeah, title of the book published by Mandiri Review Press is Toppling the First Government, Kerala, CAA and Struggle for Social Justice. The reason is Kerala struggle for social justice is from news. Everybody knows the importance of the first government in the struggle for socio-economic justice in Kerala. But outside, people may not be very much aware. Further, there is a very, very important reason. See, the intervention of CAA to topple the first communist government in Kerala was not an isolated event. In the post-war era, a large number of not necessarily communists, but left governments came up in the third world through electoral processes, legitimate popular support. So Guyana, British Guyana, Guatemala, Dominican Republic, Brazil, Kerala, Indonesia, nation not in power, but coming into forefront. Congo, Iran,
Latin America, Africa, South Asia, everywhere.
Long list. Every government, every one of them were toppled by. Now there are studies on every case with overt and covert support of US, particularly CAA. And it disrupted the socio-economic evolution in each of these places. Many of them, it were violent overthrow involving, for example, in Indonesia, 5 lakh to 10 lakh persons murdered, or Congo, or Iran leading to Shah's regime. See, just disrupted the social evolution in each of these places. But Kerala was an exception. Kerala continued its journey, though disrupted in 59. The evolution of Kerala since the first communist government in 57-59 has been broadly in the path laid out by that government, you see, which can be summed up as a development process, development strategy which focuses upon redistribution. Redistribution through strengthening collective bargaining and resulting in higher wages, redistribution of income, redistribution of assets, primarily land reforms, or redistribution through public provisioning of health, healthcare and public education and social security and so on. So Kerala has steadfast continued in this line and enabled its citizens, ordinary citizens, a standard of life which cannot be dreamt of in most of the states in India. You see. Human development status, which is more near to upper middle income
countries around the world,
developed regions. So, CAA failed to disrupt this development process. I want to underline that. Therefore, we've added struggle for social justice.
You've hinted at how that government made fundamental changes to how the Kerala society and economy functions. That government, the first EMS ministry, was there for just about 2 years, 27-28 months at max. But it is now widely accepted that almost 90% of what they had promised to do while coming to power, they had done in that short period of time, not even half of his tenure. Still, though we said there was no liberation, but there was a mass mobilization against that government. Why do you think that was the case? Also, is there a pointer to current governments, not just doing enough or by way of fulfilling your promises? Can still people come in large numbers against you?
Right, that's a big puzzle, you see. How could you mobilize people in such large numbers against a government which had improved the wages, which was attempt to redistribute land, which spent 36% of the budget on expanding the public education, a scale which cannot be dreamt of anywhere in India, or extended the public health system, wanted to carry out most radical decentralization of governance program ever. Even the 73rd, 74th constitutional amendment is a shadow of that what Kerala had attempted in 1957-59. See, Kerala legislated to create district governments. See, it's not local bodies, district governments. Entire district administration would be under district government, and self-governing local governments at the local level. So it remains a great surprise and wonderment. How could people be mobilized against it? Now, in my book, of course, the historical account of how communists came to power, then this government wanted to do, and 3, the first year, there were repeated attempts of agitations on various issues, repeated one after another, here and there and so on. At national level, big propaganda about kind of violence and so on in Kerala taking place. But so much was the chatter. O.V. Vijay, who is, I think, the greatest of novelists in Kerala, he was a young unknown writer at that time. His short story began on July 5th, 1957. The shadow of insecurity descended into my village. So that's the way he started the short story. So propaganda. But popularity of the government only increased. See, the government, in fact, the CAA document after the first year makes the assessment the popularity of the government has only increased despite of all these agitations. You see. And that's why he is very afraid what's going to happen. They were thinking a kind of domino effect that if this government continues to perform, then it will have effect on other states in India.
Yes.
So that was the major concern, very openly stated in the documents. Now, see, there is one question. I mean, is it impressionistic?
Yes.
No. See, Kerala government had only 2 seats, 2 votes majority in the parliament.
Yes.
Then once fell vacant and there was to by-election. So if the communists lost that seat, then the government is in crisis. Therefore, the entire effort of the opposition as well as even central government focused upon this one single constituency, which is not a strong left stronghold. It is in the highlands, the estate area, and the workers, voters, majority of the migrant workers from Tamil Nadu, and it was a traditionally Congress area. But left propaganda, left had 2 plus points. One, the left had introduced the first legislations to protect the plantation workers, increase the wages and so on. They now think that election was coming and so on.
Electoral benefit,
but there was something very creditable to tell the workers. And secondly, the plantation workers, a sense of self-respect had begun to appear. The first decision of the new ministry was that the police will not interfere in labor disputes. That is the department level. Earlier, the plantation workers, unorganized workers, any demand or trade union movement would be, police would be intervening to crush them. Now, this gave a kind of new self-esteem to the workers themselves. And election came out victorious. The government won, despite the fact that chief minister and no single minister of the government went to campaign. So, first year, it is very clear. This government, if allowed to function, is going to become more popular. And therefore, the Guatemalan path was adopted. In Guatemala, Urbans had come to power, and CAA had orchestrated a mass hysteria. They used very effectively radios and media, and different kind of rumors and so on, and street violence, in a frenzy and no mobilization, which resulted in toppling of the government.
Yes.
So in fact, when I say Guatemalan path, this is not accident. A 3-part article was published in one of the mouthpiece of the Catholic Church in Kerala, Deepika, that Guatemala is the model for Kerala.
Yes.
That we had to rouse the people into a mass frenzy, have an agitation of that kind for God and the country, and that's the only way this government can be pushed out. So by the second year, the strategy had changed. Now this is not going to be a discussion and dialogue on policies and so on, but a kind of mob frenzy to be roused to oust the government. So interestingly, the entire strategy is taken ditto from what the CA had managed to do in Guatemala. And then how were they able to raise it? One is mobilization by the church, particularly women, from the church to the street, to the government officers. 2, church also took initiative, and there were a lot of behind the scene operations to bring all the caste organizations and church together.
Yes.
And then the opposition, also Congress also into the struggle.
Yes.
There were a lot of background activities taking place, and a lot of money was changed. In fact, CIA in the first year, operational guidelines says that covert or overt operations may be launched to dislodge this government at the earliest. So, the document, there's another document they assess what are the key weaknesses of this government. They note 2 CAA document. The first is they said this is the first communist government which doesn't have support of the police. Second, this government doesn't have support of the central government. You see. So this is precisely the strategy. Unwarranted police violence, which even the government didn't want. Of course, government wanted a strict control about the struggle, like strike by the opposition, but didn't want firing and so on. But you get even in the plantation sector, which had voted for the left, firing took place against workers who were in the left itself. Similarly, against cashew workers and against fishermen in Trivandrum. And these martyrdoms really blew up the entire.
It is interesting that you bring up the issue of firings and police. Because as you said, these mass mobilizations were orchestrated, there was plenty of money being pumped in, there was a lot of behind the screen activity going on to put all these people out on the streets. But a criticism that has been raised is about police firings. We all know the firing that took place along the coastal lines in Trivandrum, a pregnant young woman, Flory, who was killed. Slogans were coined using her name. It was echoed all across Kerala. Despite all that, in the subsequent election, in Flory's ward, the Communist Party had a majority. How was this possible?
Well, there were 2 incidents. One in which church was directly involved. One was in
Angamali, police station.
A number of persons were killed in the police firing. Father Vadakan, who was then leader of the struggle, has later confessed this firing was orchestrated, forced upon the police by stone throwing and violence. And other was flooring. Once again, the police personnel who actually
shot.
fired,
Yes.
after 50 years gave an interview. How the violence forced him for self-defense to do this. Now, despite that, the left support base increased. In fact, that's what happened. The government was dismissed. Then election took place after about 6 months. And the Communist Party won additional 10 lakh votes.
Vote sharing.
Vote sharing.
Yes.
But what happened is, in 1956, the anti-communist forces were
Not united like
Not
they
united.
were after. Yes.
they came together because the agitation brought them all together. And therefore, though the Communist Party votes increased, their vote share declined. And opposition vote share increased. That might have played a role all over Kerala, but in particular pockets, etc., parties stood firm, the support stood firm. But you know, it had two major impacts. One, a number of prominent leaders of the Communist Party in southern Kerala for Christian minority. T.V. Thomas, K.C. George, who was the party secretary,
Yes.
or the first party secretary in Travancore, say, K.V. Patros. All of them were Christians.
Yes.
But after this agitation, the Christian community closed their mind to the left. Since then, the support base of the communists and among the Christians have just stagnated. They never became a majority in the community. So that has been one long-term impact of the struggle.
Vimojana Samaram as such.
And also in the Muslim minorities also. So it had a long-term impact on Communist Party's suspension in Kerala. The anti-communist struggle and mobilization of the entire minorities, particularly in the struggle by the community leaders, disrupted the kind of link communist party had
With all
developed
these
with these people.
Yes. Your book talks to the CIA, and their intervention is well known, well accepted now. Just a month after your English book came out in August, there was an article in the Indian Express about how the British intelligence had intervened in Kerala. Your book doesn't specifically refer to MI5 or MI6, but this new information that has come out, what do you now make out of it?
See, CIA links in Kerala, India was relatively weak. It is a British territory.
It is a British territory, yes.
CIA before 1947, CIA was formed only in 1947.
Yes.
But American intelligence operations were essentially in the Chinese Burma war theater area, where OSS operated. Yes. Otherwise, American intelligence was dependent upon British intelligence as far as India is concerned. You have the same situation in two other places. In British Guyana. So initially it was a British who took action and then CIA took over. Similarly, in Iran, it was a CIA M16 joint operation. So, but 1956-57, British influence has very sharply come down, but still yet Americans were dependent upon very much continuing to be dependent upon the British intelligence to keep track of things that were going on in India. Already much before 1951, I think, Indian IB Bureau Chief had gone to Washington to get trained.
Yes.
1 month he spent there. But still, British had a significant presence. So it is not surprising that M16 had also rode. But it would be more in the nature of collection of information using the traditional British contacts or using the plantation entrepreneurs. Many of them were British.
Yes.
So that would be another contact point for British intelligence. But otherwise, the major line of action intervention came from CA itself. In fact, CAA connection with Kerala starts in 1950 itself, the first reports.
Yes.
In fact, CAA reports about the Edappalli police station attack and so on, capturing, arrest.
Yes.
The raid of Indian police against the provincial committee office of the Communist Party, which was also in Cochin, near area.
Yes.
And also many small details will be surprised.
About trade union activities.
And CA was the first organization to predict that the left may come to power in Kerala, which communists didn't want to make because they had learned the lessons in Andhra. Andhra, they were all euphoric that communists will come to power, and then that brought all the opposition together. And the left got defeated. So in Kerala they were very cautious. Nobody made a claim they are going to win.
Let's come to present day, comrade, from history. In the 24th Party Congress that was concluded in Madurai in April this year, the CPIM has asked to intensify rural and local struggles, especially on issues related to land, housing, employment, social security, and things like that. The first point that we discussed, much of this relates to social justice also. What you, in a brief mention, you've highlighted some of the things that the governments in Kerala, the party in Kerala has done to ensure social justice. What do you think is the way forward?
To start with, Kerala has the least incidence of untouchability practices in India. It's accepted. It's very difficult to see open caste manifestations and so on. The caste continues to be a very important influence. 2, everybody is organized. Everybody, that is a kind of social atmosphere, some organization or the very active civic society, we put it that way, not only political society, civic society. 3rd, we have virtually eliminated extreme poverty. That's a great achievement. See, Kerala was a poor state. Kerala had the highest percentage of people below poverty line in the 1970s. From there to reduce, actually eliminate poverty is a great achievement, you see. Now this is the outcome of multi-dimensional intervention. Land reforms, education, healthcare, public infrastructure, decentralization, women's neighborhood group networks, and so on. It's not one solution, a special program, a comprehensive development program which ultimately gets reflected in the fact that there are no extreme poor people
Yes.
in the place. But every achievement brings its new challenges. Now you educate everybody, then everybody wants not the traditional jobs. The job expectations rise, and therefore you will have a situation of educated unemployment.
Yes.
There are 40 lakh migrant workers working in Kerala, but still you are the highest unemployment, because education has now created new expectations, and you have to produce those quality jobs. Or else, for example, education itself. Now you have only one child per house. Then you want to give the best education to the child.
Yeah.
Therefore, now the normal ordinary schools are not sufficient. They want good schools with most modern facilities, you see. Unless you are able to respond to this demand, then there will be
disconnect with
disenchantment.
Yes.
Thing. Okay, now you have better health. See, the infant mortality rate of Kerala today is 5.
Better
Even
than the
the US of America,
Better than the US.
it is 5.6, 5.6. But do you know what it means? Every child born, if it has a pediatric heart condition, they can all taken to a super specialty hospital and given treatment, you see. So now, with a life expectancy going to nearing 80, new lifestyle diseases are coming, you require super specialty hospitals. There's new development challenges. So new challenges are coming in, and we are having a new strategy of development where, one, we will continue to improve the social welfare and security of our citizens. Better education, better health care, better housing. See, we are going to be the first state in India that has solved the housing problem here.
Yes.
See, we have now only to give another 4 lakh or 3 lakh people houses, and everybody would have had a house. And because replacement rate is, we have reached the zero, that new households will not be formed. And therefore, once you solve the housing problem, you will have solved it forever, for good. So but still people want better houses, want better education, better health care, better social security. 60%, or say almost every person above 60 ages in Kerala gets a social security pension, minimum 1,600 rupees. Maybe 10% may be left out for various reasons. That's all. Somewhere or other, they want improvement. So the strategy would have improved these conditions. Other would be meet the expectations of next generation. See, both should go together. You see. We should learn to walk on 2 legs. Okay, not just one welfare. We had to now meet the expectations of a better job. So we had drawn up such a strategy, but central government decided to scuttle it, prevent it. See, this is something they can't accept. Here is a model which is different from, say, Gujarat model, where we are going to better Gujarat in growth, and we are already so much far ahead of Gujarat in welfare. So that is something that is not acceptable to them, and therefore this strategy has been consciously scuttled. But then therefore there is a financial problem. In this context, what do you do? That's why Mother of Congress said, well, in this situation still we are left and therefore the first priority will be the people. The welfare.
Yes.
We will have to look into reprioritize what we are doing if necessary. That's why we have, whatever be the financial problems, we are not going to let down the welfare of the people. But we will continue to devise new methods by which we can take the Kerala forward. New strategies are being drawn up to do that. For example, improving the infrastructure in Kerala so that Kerala has the best infrastructure. 2, transforming Kerala into a knowledge economy so that Kerala produces quality jobs and meets the aspirations of the young people.
All right. Comrade, we hope that Kerala will be able to go forward on this path, walk on 2 legs of both development and welfare. Thank you so much for a very comprehensive discussion. With that, we will wrap up this episode of Left Lens. Thank you.